Today I'm going to be learning more about Norway by watching this video. It's called Typical Things About Norway. So I'm hoping this gives me another better insight into Norwegian life. And this channel I've watched quite a few times, called Mon Ami. Go subscribe to her channel. I'll leave the link to this video in the description, so you can go watch the video, go watch her channel. She's got a lot of great content about Norway. And yeah, just looking forward to learning more about Norwegians and Norway. Let's watch.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mon, and if you don't know yet, I am Portuguese, but I'm living in Norway. I moved to Norway 2 years ago, more or less, and today I am going to talk about some of the most typical things about Norway and about Norwegians, and also I'm going to share a little bit of my experience. If you're Norwegian, I hope you're not offended by anything I'm going to say, just because it's just my opinion and I'm going to talk in general. So this is just in general and based on my experience, okay? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the weather. So for me this was a big change since I'm from Portugal, and when I came here it was December, and in Portugal it was like 19 or 18 degrees, and here it was minus 19. It was super cold. Everything was full of snow and it was really dark. In Norway, in the winter you have more or less 2 months that you have almost no sun, and then in the summer you have sun until midnight, and that's pretty cool, right? So you probably heard about the midnight sun that you can watch here in Norway. It's really nice because you can go out and you can do like picnics and barbecues during the night and it's still light. Another thing that most people don't realize is that in Norway they also have a pretty nice summer. They have nice like beaches where you can swim in the fjords, and the water is pretty warm actually. When it's sun here in Norway, everyone is out. Like everyone is in the city park like sunbathing. Of course they don't have very high temperatures in the summer. I guess it goes to 25 degrees in general. Now, in the winter, it's also a great time to visit Norway because it's full of snow and winter sports. I'm not a big expert in this subject since I don't know how to ski, but they have really cool winter sports and snow sports like sledge, ski and snowboard. And Norwegians have this sound of communication that it's like when they agree or just to express a feeling, but normally when they agree with something they do this noise.
Is that
when
true?
someone is talking and you are listening and you are agreeing with that person, you just go along and and it's also very addictive.
Yeah, so just to talk about the weather a little bit there, that's actually one thing I would really enjoy about living in Norway. I really like cold weather. Being from Scotland, that's obviously the wet sort of weather we get, but it's not as extreme cold as I guess Norway is. But tell me, if you're from Norway, do you really love the cold weather? How do you feel when you go to warmer countries? Is it uncomfortable? Like, I'm from Scotland, but I moved to Asia. I moved to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where the weather is 32 degrees Celsius every day. So to begin with, it was a bit uncomfortable, sweating all the time and just being so hot. But then eventually, obviously, I get acclimatized and it's just normal. But how do you feel when you go to like very warm countries? Is it hard to enjoy the really hot weather?
Make it also, and then you realize, oh no, I'm making the sound also. Another thing they do is when they arrive home, they always take their shoes. So you have this little place at the entrance where you can put your shoes, and then they walk barefoot or with their slippers inside the house. They also have this thing where in the winter it's super cold outside, so imagine like minus 15, and then you enter some place, any place, and it's super hot. So you have this kind of hair dryer sensation. Then you enter the restaurant, it was like and you are dressed with all of these layers because it's so cold outside, and you have to start taking all the layers off and you get dressed like you are in summer.
Again, that's very similar to Scotland. I always use the comparison between Scotland and Malaysia, where here, when you are outside it's hot, When you go into the mall, it's freezing cold because of aircon. In Scotland, it's cold outside, but when you go into the mall, it's very hot. So it's like completely the opposite as well. I don't mind that. With regards to like winter, summer and things, when do you think the best time to visit Norway is? Do you think it's in the winter to get the real cold experience, the snow, being able to do things like skiing? Or do you recommend the summer just so you can actually maybe do more things? I don't know, like walk around the cities just a bit easier and maybe more comfortably?
There's one thing that exists here that I guess it also exists in other countries, but for example in Portugal I have never seen it before, and that is the machine where you can change your empty bottles or empty cans for money. Here in Norway you cannot buy alcohol in the supermarket after a certain hour. I think it's after 6 or 7, I'm not sure. You see that Norwegians have this thing where they get really drunk really fast and they get crazy. So I guess this is just a precaution. Norwegians in general.
Is that true? So do you think like in Norway, is that the reason why there's limited hours to sell alcohol? Is it because people like to get drunk? Is that the case for you? Are people responsible with how they drink alcohol? And yeah, I really like the recycling thing. I know that's common in other European countries as well, but it's like, really just shows like how Norway is responsible when it comes to recycling, that it gives people accessibility to do that.
They're very shy and very closed. They don't talk like a lot, they are not very expressive, and it takes a long time. Are very shy and very closed. They don't talk like a lot, they are not very expressive, and it takes a long time to be friends, like really friends with a Norwegian, but then when you get to that point you have a friend forever, so that's good. Most of Norwegians also do this thing where if you are in a big party and a Norwegian wants to leave, we call it like the ninja bomb, you know, when the ninjas like just threw away a fog bomb and disappear in the fog. For example, if we are in a party and then we look around and we're like, oh, where's Johan? Where did he go? You never know, because they don't say goodbye or they don't say anything really, they just disappear. Also,
is that true? So would you say Norwegian people are more reserved? And is that a common thing? I know like I have friends who do that as well, where we'll be out on a night out and they'll just disappear. I think that's just something that's maybe common just in every country, it just depends on the people.
Typical things about Norwegians is that they are very careful with critics. They are very afraid to talk to you in a bad way. So in school, for example, I'm in architecture, the critics are always very carefully said. Sometimes I just want to ask them like, just say it, just you say it. I'm a big girl, I can handle it. One of the things that is really common here in Norway, it's an object that actually Norwegians invented, and it's a cheese slicer. So it's just a thing that you use to cut your cheese in slices, and it's actually super useful. And of course they have brunost, that is brown cheese, and it's this brown cheese that is very sweet and it's actually really good. Another super typical thing in Norway, and this is not very normal for me, it's that their lunch, like normally and mainly lunch, it's a slice of bread. I think it's called matpakke, but I'm not sure. If there's any Norwegian out there, just tell me. But it's a slice of bread where you put whatever you like on top, and then you eat it like this. Just the slice of bread with, like, for example, cheese, egg and salad on top, and that's your lunch.
Is that just like an open sandwich?
I'm getting used to it. Another super typical thing that I'm sure you've heard about is the Northern Lights, and they happen in a specific time of the year. I guess they start in November and it keeps going until March, I guess. You should see it at least once in your life. You should, because it's amazing, it's incredible. As you may know, Norway only has about 5 million people, but it's really big, it's really long. So if you want to travel, for example, from Oslo, that it's in the south, to a little bit less, like underneath the middle, it's just like 7 hours. And all of the big cities are very scattered around Norway, so if you do want to travel and get to know Norway, you need a long time or you need a lot of money to spend on flights to get around, because it's just crazy. And also if you rent a car and you try to drive around Norway, it's also crazy because the roads are not that good. They have like what they called a highway. It's not really a highway at all, it's just a normal road, and it goes.
That's interesting because yeah, I've been watching videos about driving in Norway, and generally from the videos I watched, the roads look like very good condition, and I said I really want to do a road trip in Norway. It looks like one of the best countries for doing road trips, especially this one here. That's on the video there. So tell me if that's true. Is the condition of the roads in some parts maybe not so good? Tell me in your opinion.
It goes through like tunnels, a lot of tunnels and bridges. Sometimes you get in a tunnel like 20 minutes after you leave the tunnel, and then you are in the bridge, and then you get again in another tunnel. So it's just crazy. Another thing super common here, it's having a cabin in the forest, like near a lake. And then you have this thing you call like hyttetur, where you go on a cabin trip with your family or with your friends, and you just go to the middle of nowhere with no water or electricity in the most cases. Like for example, once I went to a cabin with some friends and the lake was frozen. We didn't have water in our cabin, so we went to the lake, cut some ice and melted the ice, so we had water to cook. You get a very nice experience because you are far away from everything, you don't have internet, and you get to really enjoy the time with your friends and make cool games and cook and all of these great things. And that's everything for now. I'm sure there were a lot of things still that I could tell you and more typical things about Norway. I just tried to share a little bit of the things that are more close to me. Or
okay, that was good actually. Really enjoyed it again. I'm really enjoying finding out so much about Norway, so much interesting parts of lifestyle there. And the last one there, it sounds really great to me, going away to that cabin, having no internet, just being cut off and being able to just like relax and take it easy, especially spending times with friends or family and things like that. So tell me if you did that before. What's your experience of going to these cabins? Where was it? What did you do? What did you cook? And tell me what you think about this video. Thanks.